So I know probably nobody outside of Jets and Washington Redskins fans actually watched this game, but there's actually a lot of fun moments, especially from Sam Darnold's perspective. He ended up with 293 yards on 30 attempts, but also only 19 completions. So 19 completions for 293 yards, that's not so easy to do, and four of those completions went for touchdowns. He did also have an interception in the game, and I'll get into that. But yeah, it was definitely a fun performance that Darnold had, I thought. Darnold played really well, and so let's get into it. We'll start things off with this play. This is a play I liked, where it's going to be a second down and one, but notice what Darnold is doing at the line. He's going to tell his halfback to get back. He's basically changing the play at the line because he likes a different situation a little bit better. He sees that Washington is expecting there to be some kind of a run here. He sees probably zone coverage. There's three Washington players in the box right here. He feels as though it's going to be zone coverage, so he's going to basically fake as though he's changing it to a running play on this one. But that's actually not going to be the case. Instead, it's going to be play action, and he's going to try to hit that receiver right there who will run past the linebackers over in the middle of the field and could definitely get open past them. And Darnold, he's after faking the handoff, going to run down to the bottom half of the screen, so that way it can give him a better angle to try to make this throw. But watch how well this works out. I mean, Washington totally falls for the play action. He gets a receiver wide open, and they're able to gain a really solid gain on that one. Just a smart play by Darnold, because that was not the play that they had set up. He changed it to a different type of play. It, for Washington, made them think he's changing it to a different type of run, maybe a pitch of some sort. But at the end of the day, it ended up just being play action, and they really got fooled. I mean, just a smart play, and almost like a veteran type play from Darnold, even though he still is so young. And that's also one thing I do feel like has to be mentioned about Darnold, is the guy's only 22 years old. I mean, he is just incredibly young, so I do feel like sometimes people, they draft a 21-year-old and then get surprised when he doesn't play like a 27-year-old. You know, it takes time, but I think he's actually playing very well for his age. I know that he had his 7 interception in 2 games. I know he did have that 2-game stretch of throwing 7 interceptions against the Patriots and Jaguars, but I thought that he's bounced back strong from that now against the Dolphins, the Giants, and the Redskins. Again, not the most difficult of teams to bounce back from, but it still is impressive that he has bounced back from them, and this play was another great play by him. It's going to be man coverage, and this is a second down and 5, and for the New York Jets, they actually have a concept that is going to be great against this type of coverage, where they have a receiver run that route right there, but that's just a setup route to get that Jet who's running that route completely open, and it's going to work out pretty well. Largely because of look at the Jet who's in charge of setting this up, and notice how perfectly he runs his route right here. He gets over to the middle, which is going to get Josh Norman to run into the man who's in charge of covering the New York Jets tight end right there. It's perfectly ran, though, in the sense that he's not actually going to be the guy who's running into the defensive back. It's Norman who's running into the defensive back. So that's actually perfect, because if you make the contact right there, it could be ruled an illegal pick play. You are still within the boundaries of 1 yard, but it's close, and so who knows what they call. Sometimes they're just fluky with the calling on those types of plays. But because he ran that route, their tight end is going to get easily open here. However, for Darnold, watch his throw. It's not the highest difficulty of a throw, but it's in a perfect situation which allows his player to make the catch and continue running and pick up as many yards as possible. It's just perfect accuracy on that one, and also good arm strength to zip the ball over there quickly. That's one of those plays where it's not the highest difficulty of a throw, and you should get a completion on that one, but the better throw you make, the more yards your player is going to be able to get for you, and he made a perfect throw, which allowed for a big gain. It also should be mentioned, he played the Redskins, and the Redskins several times weren't able to get out of their own way, but at the same time, I think Darnold deserves some credit for taking advantage of the fact that the Redskins couldn't get out of their own way, like on this play. These are the 2 routes that the Jets receivers on the top half of the screen will be running. One's going to be deep in the back of the end zone, the other will be shallower towards the middle part of the end zone, and so really what's key here is those 2 Redskins right there, because they're both in charge of covering those 2 zones. Which one's in charge of covering those 2 zones? Well, it's kind of hard to tell, actually, because they don't know. They're not going to be on the same page here. Watch, right after the ball is snapped, if you look at both of them, they're both clearly trying to cover up the earlier portion of the zone. They're trying to make sure that they cover up the first receiver who's cutting earlier. But this is now going to leave Robbie Anderson wide open in the back of the end zone. There is another Washington player who's going to try to get into this play, but he's definitely going to get open. And so for Darnold, while on the run, he's going to make a great throw to Robbie Anderson, who then jumps into the crowd, which is kind of fun. Really a tremendous play by Sam Darnold. Well, I guess really what I should say is just failure to communicate and a failure to execute by the Washington Redskins, but at the same time, you have to take advantage of your opponent's mistakes, and a team like the Washington Redskins are going to make some mistakes, so take advantage of it. Everybody's going to say, oh, well, you just beat the Redskins, so you're going to have to try to, do even better than just decent. You're going to want to throw a lot of touchdowns against the Redskins to really show that you can be effective when you're playing a bad team, and that's what he did. Now, as I alluded to earlier, it was not a perfect day from Darnold. He did have an interception, and honestly, it was a bad interception, so this is the situation. At first, it's going to look like it's going to be play action, and then he'll just throw a screen pass to his other player who's in the backfield right here, but then what he's actually going to do is go back to his first halfback, hit him there, and it'll be a screen pass to the top half of the screen. So, a little bit of trickery, but nothing too fancy. It's a 2nd down and 17. They're trying to just gain half of it back, essentially, and create a convertible 3rd down. That's the whole goal here. And so after the ball is snapped, he fakes as though he's throwing to the bottom half of the screen, looks up to the top half of the screen, and sees that his halfback is not really in a great situation right here. While he is officially open and he could make this throw, there's a couple of Redskins players in the area, so if he does try to hit his halfback here and do what the play is designed for, this can easily result in a loss of yards, and also if he misses the throw, it could result in an interception, so it's just something that he doesn't want to have to try to make a throw to here. He also looks up and sees that he has a receiver who is kind of open right over there, and so now he's considering throwing it in that direction, which in my opinion is a mistake. In this situation, either you hit your halfback or you just throw the ball away. Those should be your two options, because you're going to be under pressure on a screen pass because the offensive linemen are taught to let linebackers go straight towards where you are, because why not? You're going to get the ball off quickly, so let's take him out of the play. But Darnold tries to hit his receiver anyways. It ends up just being not a great throw, but part of that was because he was under pressure and was off balance, and really it's just a decision he shouldn't have made. So yeah, I had to bring that up. Still 22 years old, still learning. He made a bad mistake on that one, but at the end of the day, that didn't negate all the good plays. He, for the most part, had a very good game. And I also thought that just for Adam Gase and for the coaching staff, they really game planned well for this one. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover 2 zone. They have an empty backfield right here. And for the Jets, they're going to have their 3 receivers on the top half of the screen run those 3 routes right there. Very deep routes that will get open because it's only cover 2 when there's 3 players running deep, but it also will take a second to get open, which against a pretty dangerous Redskins pass rush is actually a little bit risky when you only have 5 guys blocking, but it's going to work out. The line holds, and if you look right over here, I mean, there is easily a window where Darnold can make this throw. I mean, without a doubt. But also watch where Darnold's throw ends up. It's a perfect throw that allows his receiver to, even in that situation, Le'Veon Bell, the guy who made the catch, it was still caught in a way where he was able to gain as many yards as possible. He only gained like 3 or 4 more because there weren't that many more that were possible, but still just a perfect throw from Darnold. Plays like that are the reason why people fall in love with Darnold, even though his numbers haven't been as amazing. Yeah, his numbers aren't great, but his tape definitely outshines his numbers. And one last play I liked from both Adam Gase, the offensive coaching staff, and Darnold was this one. It's going to be cover 3 right here, and what they're going to do is have the receiver on the bottom half of the screen run that route right there, and then the tight end, he'll simply just run an out route underneath him. And so, as you can probably figure out, this now means that the guy who's in charge of covering the zone on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen will have to run a little bit deeper, and this can now allow a tight end to run underneath him and get open. And as you see, it is going to just work out perfectly. Great job by the play call, great execution to allow your tight end to get open, and also just a great throw from Darnold to allow him to get into the end zone for a touchdown. So yeah, I mean, that's what I thought of Darnold's performance. Listen, the Jets aren't a great team, we all realize it, but at the same time, I do not blame the problems on Darnold. He is a young quarterback who is growing, and he's getting better, and when he's on, he can look like, he can really look like a star. He really can. You do have to be patient with these kind of things, although you do kind of just wish that he could just be great already, but a 22-year-old quarterback oftentimes is going to take a couple years to be great, and so far it has taken him a couple years, but at times he has looked great. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, that's what I thought of Darnold's performance. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.